What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video, and this is everything my guy found out living in Australia for 3 months. I'd like to, I mean, not 3 months Australia, but I want to just visit for a couple weeks, and then I might come back for a couple weeks. I just want to visit for a couple weeks. Just get to kind of see as much as you can see in a couple weeks. Although I'm sure I can't even scratch the surface of the beauty of Australia in a couple weeks. But just visit, have a nice time, go to some beaches, just enjoy. Just enjoy. I promise, I don't know when, but I will be coming. I just have to build my funds up. I have to get the bank account right so I can afford 2 weeks. First of all, 2 weeks of vacation in Australia, and then 2 weeks I'm not working. But we're not here to talk about me. We're going to jump into this video. If you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give a video a thumbs up, and let's dive right in.
It has been 3 months since I arrived here in Australia from the US, and over this time period, I feel that I've discovered quite a few things that I wouldn't have known about while researching Australia. So in this video, I just want to share some of the more interesting or useful things I've discovered while living here. And hopefully, if you're thinking about coming to Australia, that can help you as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is going to the pharmacy, or the chemist as you would call it here. If you use any sort of over-the-counter medications consistently, I would definitely look into what is available in Australia before coming here. I know in my case that I often will use melatonin when I'm traveling, as I have trouble sleeping in hostels and stuff like that.
I feel that.
When I arrived here, I found out that you actually have to have a prescription or be over 65 in order to get melatonin from the pharmacy.
Really?
And in Australia in general, there's a lot more regulations on different drugs that you can get from the pharmacy, especially over-the-counter ones. So I would definitely recommend stocking up on whatever it is that you might need before coming here. Another example of this is I remember I got really sunburnt and I wanted to get some ibuprofen, and I had to go up to the counter and ask for permission before I could actually get the ibuprofen. I was still able to get it, but it's just very different from my experience, especially back in the States. The second thing I want to talk about...
Australia, y'all gotta talk to me about that one. I need just a little bit of understanding. Don't get me wrong. I know there's got to be good reasons for that being the way it is. These medicines, if taken wrongly, can be harmful. But it's just shocking that you would have to give a valid, even a reason at all to buy ibuprofen for me. Like, it's kind of surprising to me. And melatonin, that you need a prescription for melatonin is like... This is just like, I guess it's just me, and because I grew up in America where you could get over-the-counter medicines. And I've reacted to countries where they're shocked that it's certain things we got to have prescriptions for here in the U.S. and they can just walk up and get it. But that was the first time I've ever heard that. So y'all talk to me in the comment section. Is that how it is in all of Australia, or what's going on with that? That surprised me.
Is shopping in Australia. So if you're going to the grocery store, typically if you're just going to a bigger store, you have two choices, and it's either going to be Woolworths or Woolies or Coles. One of the first things I noticed when shopping here in Australia, which definitely might be just the US background rubbing off on me, is that stores are a lot more specialized and separated, whereas back home, in my experience, if you go to a Walmart or a Target or something like that, you're going to find almost anything you would need on your shopping trip all in one place.
True.
Whereas here, you're going to have to go probably to multiple different stores in order to pick up everything on your shopping trip. An example of this is you'd have to go to Woolies to go get your groceries, and then if you wanted to go get some sort of alcohol, you'd have to go to the bottle shop.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get some sort of tobacco or something, you'd have to go to the tobacconist. Another thing about shopping here in Australia is self-checkout is really big here, and almost everyone will opt for self-checkout. Sometimes you do see cashiers still manning the kind of conveyor belt system checkout thing as well, but for the most part, everyone uses self-checkout. One last thing about shopping in Australia, I would say that most people say cost of living here is pretty expensive. I'd say as far as groceries go, it's not too different from other countries that I've been to, especially when you compare it to what minimum wage is here and what just kind of normal pay is here in general.
Yeah.
The third thing I want to...
Exactly. I didn't even know. That's the first time I've also ever heard of a tobacconist. Like, I know about the bottle, but I never knew about, like, you got to go to, like, an actual tobacconist shop. So here, maybe, I guess that would be, like, the equivalent to a CBD shop. If you want certain CBD like items, you got to go to that shop. Certain items, some things you can get at like gas stations and stuff. But so I did know that Bottle they don't sell alcohol in the store, so it is a separate store that you have to go to. I knew that. Tobacconist is new information. And then what did he say at the end of that? I can't.
As groceries go,
just grocery prices. Yeah. Okay, with freaking Australia's minimum wage, you actually end up with more money in your pocket at the end of the day when it comes to grocery shopping compared to here in America, where groceries are expensive and minimum wage is low. I'll let him continue. Sorry, I went back a little bit.
Here, self-service again is a lot more prevalent here than other places that I've been to. Here, it's a lot more typical to go up to the counter, order your food, and then once the food's ready, also go up and pick it up yourself instead of having a server or a waiter bring the food to you.
I feel that.
Another thing about eating out in Australia is tipping's not a normal thing. Sometimes people still do tip, but it's a lot more rare and it's not expected if you are going out to eat. Number 4 is alcohol.
Absolutely love the no tipping. You shouldn't have to tip. Should be on the store to absolutely pay their workers livable wages. So I love the way Australia does that. Self-service. As long as you call my name, my food ready. Hey, order for dairy. I have no problem at all coming to pick it up at the counter. That's no issue. So I like the way you do things. I like that one, Australia.
And drinking culture here. So alcohol will typically probably be a little bit more expensive than what most people are used to if you're visiting here as a foreigner. That being said, I find it pretty funny as drinking culture is pretty big here in Australia, and that does not stop Aussies in the slightest. If you're going to a bar here, people typically order schooners, which is a slightly smaller size glass than a pint, even though they do have pints here as well. One useful thing to know here is when you're going out for drinks in Australia, bars will have a taxi call system. You can go up to the bartender and just say that you need a taxi called, and they will have a taxi come to get you in case you've drank too much or you're in a bad state. Number 5 is gambling.
Love that. I don't know why we don't have that here yet. I mean, I know now we have Uber. I know y'all got Uber in Australia. But so I know Uber exists. But I just love the fact that that's there. Up at the bar, right? You're too wasted. I can't get a taxi call. That's awesome. Shout out to my Aussies. Incredible.
Culture here. So I was pretty shocked to find out that gambling is pretty big here, and every other pub or tavern you go to will have some sort of gambling included in the venue. Typically, this ends up coming in 3 forms that I've commonly seen. There's TAB, which is either sports betting or betting on races like horse racing or dog racing. Then there is Keno, which is almost equivalent to like a digital bingo type thing, where you get a ticket and then you see if you get the numbers that are winning or losing. And then third, there's what they call pokies, which essentially are slot machines. And usually a pub here will have its own dedicated section or losing. And then third, there's what they call pokies, which essentially are slot machines. And usually a pub here will have its own dedicated section just to pokies, where people will sit and play the slots. Number 6 is work culture here. So this is one of the
I feel like I seen some of the gaming culture kind of in the households where her dad was always playing the pokies, always betting on the horses, always doing that. It ain't nothing wrong with a little game. As long as you don't become addicted, Nothing wrong as long as you do it responsibly.
That I was most interested in coming to Australia for, as I heard that work-life balance here is really good. And after being here for 3 months, I can definitely confirm that is the case. Here in Australia,
Okay.
I think there's a lot less pressure to go down the typical 9 to 5 career path. And
I feel that.
people in general are a lot more accepting and open to different career paths. So if you want to become a tradie, if you want to work in hospitality,
I love that.
people aren't going to place as much judgment on you if you go an alternate route from the more traditional 9 to 5 career path.
Yeah.
If you're working here in Oz full time, it's typical to see most people get 5 weeks of paid
That's
vacation.
beautiful.
Which is
Weeks.
very different from what I'm used to back in the States.
Yes.
With it being more typical to see 2 weeks.
Yes.
And people will actually take their vacation time, which is not often the case back in the States as well. People are typically a little bit more hesitant to take time off from work. Whereas
Facts.
here, people aren't afraid to take their vacation time and take advantage of the time they have off. In what I've seen so far, the workplace generally tends to be a little bit more relaxed as well. People are more willing to jump around and have a bit of fun while working. And it's just
like
not
that.
quite as serious as some other places that I've lived. Number 7 is
Hey, these Aussies out here maxing and relaxing. Work culture is beautiful. Every 5 weeks paid vacation. Can you beat that? 5 weeks paid vacation. Then people not too serious about their job. I love the fact less pressure, less judgment. Even if you don't go down the normal career path of a 9 to 5, because I mean I wouldn't cut out for a 9 to 5. Even though it feel like even I do YouTube and I still work about 8 hours a day. The thing about that is the thing I enjoy about this is kind of the freedom to, okay, let's say if I didn't want to work tomorrow and I just double my workload today, I can just work like 15 hours today and then I won't have nothing to do tomorrow. So the freedom of, I guess, being able to take whatever days I want off. Even though I still got to pump out videos, it feels like every single day just to stay afloat. But yeah, although YouTube is not easy, it's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. It's much better than any job I've ever worked before. I hated all my traditional 9 to 5s, and yeah. I mean, I'm sure I probably enjoy it in Aussie if it's more chill, more calm. I like that.
Interacting with Aussies, and the first thing I noticed as a foreigner coming here is Aussies love to chat, and they're very willing to talk to strangers. When speaking with Aussies, you'll notice that they're very straight to the point, and they're not afraid to speak their mind. A good example of this is, since I've been walking around in a brace after my injury, people often come up to me, and I've gotten the question multiple times, very straightforward, where someone will just ask, what's wrong with the leg, or what did you do to yourself? And typically, I think
that's
in a lot of other countries, people would either kind of dance around that, or they would just avoid asking in general. But here, people just aren't afraid to ask if they're curious, which is pretty cool. But I will say that if you're a foreigner, sometimes it could be maybe a bit disarming. Generally, it's not people being rude here in Australia. That's just kind of how things are. Number 8 is the wild.
I feel like I would definitely ask. It wouldn't be, I would just walk up to you and say, what happened to your leg, bro? I wouldn't do that, but if I were talking to you like we were strangers, hey, how you doing? Everything good? Good day. What's going on? What happened to your leg? It would be thrown in a conversation. It just wouldn't be the first thing that I asked you. But before that conversation, I probably would ask you. Or I guess he's right. In a sense, I'd probably let you bring it up if you wanted to talk about it. Or if we talked about doing stuff, be like, is that what happened to your leg? Or I probably, yeah, I guess I'm not going to argue with what he says. He's probably actually right when I really think about it.
Life here, and I would say if you're worried about running into dangerous wildlife, don't be as long as you're living in a city. That being said, I've never lived out in the bush, so I can't say what it's like out there. Yo. But at least for me, I haven't had any super crazy encounters with wildlife out here.
That's crazy work.
What is that?
A monitor lizard is wild. Oh my god. Nah, see, that's just too big. I mean, I think that's just too big. That's just ridiculous. That, my days, Australia.
That's a hoss, dude. Why do they always post up right here? What is this? I ain't never seen something like this before.
God dang. I definitely ain't getting no reef something.
Whoa.
Oh my god.
Just floating right above where I do the dishes. Go away. That being said, there's two exceptions to this that I think most people will experience. And number one is the birds here. Everywhere you go, at least everywhere I've been in Australia, there are a lot of crazy and very noisy birds.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yo, he's huge.
Yeah.
What the hell is that? That's a big one.
Always post it.
Barely see him.
Oh, I see it.
Oh yeah. At this point, I just find it pretty entertaining, but I remember when I first got here, it actually would keep me up at night because the birds are very vocal here.
Yeah.
Number two is if you're going to the beach and
I feel like I have seen that in other people's videos who've been to Australia. They kind of show like clips of how lousy the birds are. But I feel like that's okay. Well, if they're stopping me from sleeping, then it's a problem. But for the most part, that's alright. The birds in Australia, I will say, are absolutely gorgeous. There's a lot of them that are absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I probably watch out for the magpies just because they're absolute savages. From what I hear, and what I've seen in different videos, the bin chickens probably wouldn't bother me as long as they leave me alone till I put my food in the bin.
and especially here in North Queensland, where you're next to the reef, they do get a lot of what they call box jellyfish, which are quite dangerous.
Ooh.
So a lot of the times it's very common to see at a public beach that there'll be a enclosed net area, and that's mostly to keep jellyfish out. I've heard people say it's to keep sharks out. I don't know if that's really true, but I know it's definitely for the jellyfish. So just keep that in mind as well. And number 9 is if a word or a sentence can be shortened, Australians will shorten it.
Facts.
Sometimes though it will cause a little bit of an interesting miscommunication. I remember when I started working at a bar here, everyone would always refer to everything in acronyms. So Jack Daniels is JD, Jim Beam is JB, Canadian Club is just Club. And so it would get quite confusing at first. You'll get used to it, but you may have a little bit of a learning curve there. Additionally, a lot of words will just get shortened and have an O added at the end. So registration will be rego, service station will be servo, utility vehicle is a U, and you get the point.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyways, though, that's most of the interesting things that I've noticed the past 3 months living here. Let me know what I missed down in the comments, and hopefully, if you're thinking about coming to Australia, this helped you make a better decision. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this one, and I will catch you in the next one.
I've definitely seen that in so many Australian videos. Of course, I've been watching so long that I've learned a good amount of the Aussie slang. I won't say most because I'm sure there's a lot of things. Like all them alcohol things, I didn't know Jim Beam was JB, Jack Daniels was JD. I didn't Canadian Club is Club. I didn't know all the alcohol slang, so I still got a lot more to learn. But this was a fun video. I feel like for a lot of the things that he pointed out, I kind of knew, but he did point out things inside of this video that I did not know. Did not know about the prescriptions needed for like melatonin, like simple over-the-counter medications here. I didn't know there was something else I didn't know that he mentioned earlier. It's just not gonna come to me. I wish it was. But overall, let me know what you guys think about this video. Did he kind of get Australia? Everything that he's experienced right in his 3 months. If you enjoyed that, please don't forget to subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see y'all next time.